My name is Oshifes Larry. I'm a mechanic. Welcome to Exxon F1, also known as from Lawon, Colum, Africa.
Good day! Please, like I've always clamored, please. I know you love what you're doing. Subscribe to my channel. Love it. I beg, like be on my channel. You get the best news. I love you guys. Like, comment, share. Some of you come to my inbox, my DM to comment. Yeah, it's good, but sometimes also comment on this social media. It helps my growth. Like, share. Share, please. It's very important you share. I love you guys. Wow. I can say wow for a long time. But you know what I can tell you, I'm making another video after this one, and I want you to listen to that videos, especially Africans and Nigerians. This one, I'm going to say this. I wonder the kind of pleasure we would have to host a race in Nigeria and people experience our culture. People come to know who we really are as Africans. People can enjoy what we have as Africans, and we can use that advantage to showcase our talents and who we really are to the world. And at that point, to love to see Philip and his family in the mix, doing what they know how to do best. So I'm saying once again, please, out there, let's look out for him. Philip Janos Ghana. He's a wonderful kid, and I believe he's going to represent us very well and is going to show the world that he's a true African, and that is who he is. So let's see how that goes. Now, looking at the Mexican Grand Prix, it is just a Grand Prix to behold. It's a massive Grand Prix. And like I said in my last video, I told you Ferrari are going to run their own race. They were just lucky to be on the podium, I tell you. The pace at which Lando was going, if he had like 10 more laps, he would be on the podium, like I said. But since the McLaren didn't put themselves in the right pace yesterday, that was where they got it wrong. But let me recap the race for you. Earlier before the race, Fernando Alonso got investigated for speeding in the pit lane. I think that would just be a charge. They would just charge him. But unfortunately, he could not end the race. To the own boy, Sergio Perez, what a race disaster for him. He started well. He could have taken P1 on the first lap, turning in turn 1, but that was where he ended this race when he had a collision with Charles Leclerc, who had nowhere to run to. A racing incident, but naturally on the India side, Sergio Perez would know that he should be the one to slow down because 3 cars cannot run into that corner at the same time. It's not possible. And the funny thing was the 3 of them braked late and they just ran into each other. And that ended his own race because it chinked up and jinked his tire and it was sent flying into the air, and the side of the car was damaged, the floor, it could not continue. And what a pity, what a pity, what a pity. As in, he had every opportunity to have a good race, every opportunity to make the race more interesting. At least we know there's only one person that will just be run in front, but others, we should enjoy racing. But as it is, what's an ending for him, and that took out the front wings of the 2 Ferraris on the first lap. Charles Leclerc's Ferrari will be investigated. I think he will just take money penalty for it because it took time before some of the members of the wing fell off and the FIA were not impressed. But why would the FIA be impressed? The question is, was there a black and orange flag for him? No. For like 3 laps, there was no black and orange flag. So if they are penalizing him, I think his team should be able to come out and speak for him. The truth of the matter is, the Ferrari team don't learn. I said it before. If you're starting from the pole position, is the worst position, especially when you have a dirty track. Is on the worst position. Verstappen started, I thought those coming behind them would have a good opportunity to jink them and overtake them. That was what happened. Why can they not allow either Sainz to lead or Leclerc to lead and allow the person behind to be taking the slipstream from the person ahead so that he can also be blocking his lap 1? Ferrari, I don't know how they think there. I don't know how they think. They just blew the race for themselves. They could have ended 4th and 5th. In this race, if Perez ended this race, they could have ended 4th and 5th. They would not be on the podium at all. Ferrari won't even smell podium. I don't know what is wrong with Ferrari. They don't learn. But they took the top 2 spots and blew their own race. Gave it out freely. Like, hey, Verstappen, Alpha, come and take the race. That was what they did. They blew their own race. And unfortunately, Hamilton got stuck behind Ricciardo for like 11 laps. If Hamilton had been in free here, he would have chased the 2 Ferrari down and he would have been on Max Verstappen's neck all through the race, which could have helped him in the race. He might not be able to overtake Verstappen, but he would have been very, very close to Max Verstappen. But he was behind Daniel Ricciardo for like 11 laps. Daniel Ricciardo defended for his life, as in it was as if he didn't defend, he would die. but was able to overtake him on lap 11. And Fernando was charged €100 for speeding in the pit lane. That one is for him. The first stint of the race was really games, strategy. After they all changed tires, they were running after each other, chasing after each other, seeing how they can use their strategy to make play. But the second part of the race, K-Mag's red flag. Kevin Magnussen broke the red tie rod and ran off into the Tech Pro barriers, destroying the Tech Pro barriers and also his own car. And I think he had some little injury, which is not too much. It should be scratches and it should be something that they will massage from his hand and he'll get better before the race in Brazil. But all true, K-Mag had an accident on lap 33 and immediately Verstappen stopped, had a change of tire, but the red flag came out. And the beautiful thing is this: in that race, Max Verstappen has to know there are 2 extra hard tires for the race, which gives them opportunity for a better strategy, while others are having scrubbed or used tires. But the race was red flagged in lap 34. Everybody came in. The Ferraris were able to change their wings, change tires. It's now a game of who is better on strategy this time. The Mercedes went aggressive. They went for medium tires. And why did they go for medium tires? The medium tires they used in the first stint lasted for like 20 to 24 laps. But remember, the medium tires they used this season were the hard tires they used last season. And those hard tires last season they lasted 38 laps in the hands of Vettel. And they did well. He still had a lot of life in the tires at 38 laps. So they having 35, 36 laps on the same tires this season is not just a big gamble for them, it's a big ask for them on the tires, in which they were able to solve the ask, because at a point Lewis Hamilton was doubting himself. It was really a big ask for him by the team and he was able to weather the storm and he got the tires right. Now, how did the second part of the race go? Verstappen already understood what he had to do. He's starting on pole position this time and he was able to get the best out of himself, and Charles Leclerc this time woke up and he did his best. Lewis Hamilton was about taking a risk to overtake him on the first turning, but I think he's wise. Lewis Hamilton is very, very intelligent. Watching his race to present made me understand that he understands patience. Normally, when he was younger, the patience was not there. There were some races in which he plays the long game. He's a little bit patient, but he's much, much older, much more matured. He knows the gap he should go for. He knows when he should be aggressive, except some few mistakes he makes, like the Qatar, in which we all know is the same mistake that Perez made this race. And there's always a gap. If there's a gap, why not go for it? That is the essence of racing. That is why it is called Formula One. Any little gap, go for it. Take the risk. That's how to win races. He saw the gap. He could have gone for it and driven Charles Leclerc out of the position and taken the second position. But it's also a risk for him. If Charles Leclerc is not patient and is not giving in, they both collide. Their races ended. He ends up like Checo Perez without a point and still having the same 39 points gap between him and Checo Perez, which is not what I think he really was looking to bargain for. So he was so wise, he was so intelligent, he had to just calm down. The race came back to him and was able to overtake Charles Leclerc, which is what he needed, because it was an understanding start for him, which was great. Big news for Red Bull fans and Max Verstappen fans. 16 wins this season. That makes it 31 wins in 2 seasons. Wow. And also, this season, he has led over 800 laps. Wow. He's having a race of his life. He's having a drive of his life in the best car presently. And he's doing his best to use his total common sense, because the first start and the second start were common sense for him. He took a bigger risk in the first start and he was intelligent. The second start, there was no bigger risk. He was just on it. He started the race well and he did the race well. And it was a great race for him. And for Fernando Alonso, he retired on lap 47. I think he's having floor damage. That was why he retired, so he was unable to keep the pace. But presently, the race pace and the qualifying pace of the Aston Martin, that was the second best car at the beginning of the season, has fallen off. I'm not sure Aston Martin is presently in F1 again, because since the start of the second part of the season, Aston Martin has been nowhere. They've not just been in the race, they've not enjoyed their race. Their car has been just one of the worst cars ever. They've not been in the same space they've been since the beginning of the season. And for Alpha Tauri today, Yuki Tsunoda, wow, that boy is a hell of a driver. He drove a hell of a race, but it was filled with so many mistakes. He had contacts that ruined his race. The 2 Alpha Tauri could have been in point. And Daniel Ricciardo drove his life. I think he came second in the driver of the day. He's voting, but sincerely, driver of the day doesn't win you a point in F1. They came so close to Lando Norris. Wait a minute. Alpha Tauri's development since Qatar has been on the next level. And I think that is as a result of Daniel Ricciardo understanding the car and telling which direction to go. And the upgrades they've brought has been very, very terrific. It has developed the car, it has moved the car forward, and they're able to get to one of their best points. And I think $20 million difference will be a very big money for them for development next year. And I think that is what they are chasing. $20 more million. It will be big, huge money for them against next season. And that's for AlphaTauri. Great development. They've moved forward. They've stepped forward to the teams in front. Now to McLaren, Lando Norris. Lando Norris drove like a man pursued by devil today. From 17th to end 5th. That is massive. On the second stint, he started on soft tires. He knew he would be having 2 stops, but it ended up being 3 stops. But coming on the medium tire in the last stint and maximizing the medium tire that George Russell lost 20 laps to the end of the race. He maximized it alongside with Lewis Hamilton that maximized that same medium tire. But George Russell not allowing his tire to overheat while he was behind Carlos Sainz and not cooling down well, cooling his brakes, cooling his tires. He lost his tires. But Lando Norris was just on point. If they had not told his teammate to allow him to pass, he would still overtake him. But they don't need to fight. He was just on another level of racing today. He drove his ass out. He drove his head right in straight line, and he drove beautiful race today. And that is to him. And Lance Stroll made the second Aston Martin out. Aston Martin had a terrible race. 2 laps to go, Lance Stroll was out. It was like a problem all through the race for those that he was ahead of. He was moving up and down the straight line when he was about to be overtaken. He gave them a hell of a race all through. That was beautiful for him. And Nico Hülkenberg, what a race for him. What a race for him. Until he lost his tire in the second stint, he defended for his life. He was holding on to that 1 point with his dear life, with his last breath, but unfortunately the Alpines were faster than him. They took that point away from him. Ocon took that point away from him. And to the Alfa Romeo, Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas, beautiful race. But I think these guys still need to bring more updates to make their car faster. The AlphaTauri are ahead of them. They were ahead of AlphaTauri before, but now the AlphaTauri are back ahead of them. They still have more works to do. They were both in DRS traffic all through the race, and I knew that would have hampered their race to some point because most Ferrari-driven engines are having overheating issues, so they could not really push more to give themselves some decent pace and some decent race. But that is it for their race. And for Alex Albon, great qualifying, not so good race, but he did his best. Logan Sargent also tried all through the race. He drove his ass out, and it was a battle for the Mercedes engine between himself, Aston Martin. I think he did well. Logan Sargent did well, and I think he's fighting for his life to maintain his seat against next year in the Williams. And I think that was good for him. But this 2023 season has been a race between Max Verstappen and others. And let's see how the 3 remaining races of the season would be, because it's a Max Verstappen and the rest of the field. I'm telling you, he's won 16 races out of 19. Sergio Perez won 2 and Carlos Sainz won 1. 3 more races. The next race, next weekend, 3rd to 5th in Brazil, is going to be a beautiful race. I'm telling you, the culture in Brazil is crazy. It's going to be a beautiful race, and it's also going to be a sprint race, the last sprint race of the season. And from there, we move to Las Vegas, and from Las Vegas to the final race of the season in Abu Dhabi. But that next week race is going to be a beautiful race, I can tell you. And I won't end this race without telling you the way the Mexicans sold themselves is out of this world. Their culture, it is off the hook. Every time F1 goes to Mexico, it is filled with culture, not just because they have a driver. Even when Sergio Perez was out, they were still rooting for him. They were shouting. Their second best driver there presently, aside from their own boy, is Lewis Hamilton, because him coming second, even if he had finished 10th or 20th, they will still root for him. They were rooting for him. The 3 people they were really rooting for all through the weekend were Checo Perez. He's having like 90% of the fans. Lewis Hamilton still have fans from Checo Perez camp, and Lando Norris. Those were the guys that they were rooting for all through today. They were just shouting their name when Perez came around lap 43 to greet the fans. When they saw him on the big screen, they were shouting. Everybody was just shouting Perez, and he came out with them. It was beautiful. It was emotional. It was emotional for him. It was so emotional for me because he lost out in the race, and so unfortunate for him. He did well. He tried his best, and that is Formula One for you. That is racing for you. You can be out in a jiffy, and that was it. And for Lewis Hamilton, after coming second, the crowd went agog. They were shouting his name, praising him, they loved him. And to Verstappen, it's a great race for him. They didn't really cheer for him. And I think Red Bull, they have a lot to do. To bring the trust back to the Mexicans, they have a lot to do. Charles Leclerc, they booed him at the point. They didn't really praise him. Only few people praised him because of the accident he had with the homeboy Checo Perez. And I know most of them would understand that that's how racing is. And you can go out in the first lap, you can go out on lap 20, 30, or in the last lap of the race. They don't even know what really happened, if it was fault or not. But they are rooting for somebody. They feel emotional. It was just a pain for them. But I think by tomorrow, next tomorrow, they will either we move to Brazil. But like I was saying, the people, the culture, that place is massive. And you can see how that place is glowing and growing is because of the kind of people they had, the kind of investments they've made into Formula One, and how it has helped their culture. And I think a lot of people can learn from that. A lot of countries can learn from that and tap into what it takes to host races, to do things that will bring more investment into their country and shapen their future and move them forward. But to the Mexicans, I throw my caps for you. It was a beautiful hosting. The way they sold their culture, the cap, their beads, everything, their merchandise, they came up, the drivers were buying. It was big sales. The tourism, another part in which they sold this weekend. It was so beautiful. So beautiful. Oh, Mexico, I love you guys. So, on to the next one in Brazil. But before the time, there might be 2-3 videos coming up. And please, you guys should watch, like, subscribe. I love you guys. I love you guys. Follow me. Make some comments. Ask questions. If you need to ask questions, I will gladly answer your questions. I love you. Bye. Chee.
Gibor gives you power. Gibor gives you control. Gibor gives you benefits. Are you an individual or business that uses fuel or gas? Use Gibor to find the best prices across all retail outlets in your city. For users and businesses that buy volumes, Gibor gives you access to credit. Gibor also gives you the ability to track your costs and monitor expenses per car or fleet. Need to improve your costs, enjoy incentives, or track expense? Gibor is the answer. Enjoy 5% discount on your first 5 purchases when you get your next fuel voucher from Gibor. Log on to www.gibor.co to enjoy this. Retail outlets wanted nationwide.
I have a new friend in the house. We are in Nigeria here, West Africa. He provides internet for us. They provide the best internet around the mainland, and I know they are still moving to the highland and they are moving all around Nigeria. But for you to get internet on the mainland, contact Fibrad Telecom Limited. They get you sorted out ASAP. The best cable internet on the mainland, fiber, I think they get sorted out. We talk much about them in the course of some of our videos, but contact them, they get sorted out. Teams Gadget is for those of you that cannot easily go to the market to get your phones, your laptops, your accessories. Just place a call through. His phone number is there. It gets you the best. It's your shop plug to get you the best phones, accessories, laptops, games, and other accessories for your computer gaming experience. Contact Teams Gadget and you get them for you.